Well, hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Relentless Transitions podcast. I am Teresa, and I'm so excited to be here today with my co host again, Miss Rosalind Keith. And today we are going to talk about a topic that is just near and dear to our hearts, a topic that each one of us faces, and that is confidence. Now, on this show, we talk about life. We talk about business. We talk about how to overcome challenges and reach triumph. So, today, hopefully, when you leave this show, you are going to have some great tips to help you triumph with your confidence. So, first, Rosalind, how are you doing today?
I'm good, Teresa. The confidence levels are quite high these days.
Yes, yes, yes. So we're definitely excited to share with you some of the tips that have helped us to increase our confidence and have some wins in life. So first, Rosalind, what is one of your top tips?
So I think when you're trying to develop your confidence about anything in life, you need to really identify what's truly important to you. You need to have a strong connection to your values and your core beliefs. So if you're not sure what that is, it's going to be difficult for you to stand your ground and to go about with that air of confidence that you're doing what's right for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you need to think about things like the vision you hold for yourself, and or if you're talking about your business, what vision of yourself in this world do you want to put out there? um what perspectives are available to you when you stand your ground, when you stay connected to those inner core beliefs and values, staying
Mm-hmm.
connected to them in the face of competing ideas and demands and stuff. Staying connected to those really um, helps you build your confidence, but you have to know what they are first. So you need
Mm-hmm.
to you need to clearly identify what's important to you. And you can also look at these as things that you can count on about yourself. You can count on if you're facing challenges. You can count on if you've taken a misstep or a stumble in life or business or anything. So
Yes, yes.
yeah. Yeah. How
You
about
know
you?
what?
Sorry.
Yeah, when you there was something that you said that really just struck me, and that was when you were talking about being in touch with your core. Because so often, well, every day we face challenges, and I've had people to ask me, well, how do you stay so calm? And when I thought about it, my response was, it's just my internal compass. And by that, I mean that when I already know what my answer is, I already know who I am and how there are just these core values. Then when things pop up and they come, I just really apply it to the core value as opposed to applying it to whatever is external that's going on around me. Yeah.
Exactly.
And
And
so my
sorry, go ahead.
oh, so I was going to say my internal compass actually produces the answer and the
Yeah.
response for
Yeah.
me.
And as you were talking, it dawned on me that, some people may have trouble figuring out what that is.
Mhm.
And we've done a podcast talking a little bit about our vision boards that we created for
Mhm.
specifically for the podcast. But one way to try and really connect and identify with what's truly important to you is to kind of go out there and explore options in magazines, pictures, books, poetry, things that really speak to you, and they can actually help you, guide you to the realization of what's truly important to you. Yeah.
Yes, definitely, definitely. Another thing that helps me with confidence is being optimistic. Practicing positive self-talk talk. Ooh, I'm getting flustered today or tongue tied today, but positive self talk and just being optimistic about things when something is presented to me, instead of just immediately reacting, especially in a negative way, to actually just kind of take a step back and look at it and say, okay, it's more of like, is the glass half empty or is it half full type of thing. So I really try to lean towards it's half full, the positive spectrum of whatever it is. So I'm looking at this thing, what's good about it or what is the best part about it, as opposed to just taking hold of, oh, it's just awful, or the most negative part, and just letting that just rule the day.
Yeah, and I would add to that that again, if you have the tendency towards negativism as opposed to optimism, it can be hard to figure out um how to be optimistic if your
Mhm.
natural way is to focus more on the negative. And I you touched on it a little bit there, was self-talk. Pay attention to what you're telling yourself. But
Mhm.
also, I encourage people to actually start, um, you know, keeping track of things they're grateful for, because then you're starting to
Mhm.
make your brain focus on the good that's around you. So that's a way to help build your optimism. It Optimism comes from that positive mindset. So you really need to work hard to develop that positive mindset. So yeah.
Yes, yes. One thing that I've done is actually write down sentences or phrases, things that I would like for someone to say to me, or
Mhm.
that I would like to hear. And if you're really trapped in negativism and you can't even think of anything, Google it, and take some phrases, some things that draw you in, and actually write them down, and us ladies throw those. I like to write them on neon colored index cards and just throw them in my purse, so that they're always with me.
For sure. Yeah, that's a huge part of confidence is
Hmm.
being able to be optimistic and positive. Um, you also need to become, and this is kind of related to both those things, optimism and identifying your core beliefs and your inner compass. And that's to become more self-aware. And by this, I mean you need to be aware of your strengths as well
Hmm.
as your weaknesses. We tend to focus only on our weaknesses.
Hmm.
So by focusing on our strengths, we're actually building our positivism, we're building our confidence, and really figure out what you can trust about yourself, what you can count on, but also be aware of your weaknesses so that then you can plan ahead when you're in a situation that is um, is not your strength. Plan ahead, imagine, vision out some of those scenarios, and plan how you're gonna respond to situations where your weaknesses are being um, identified more than your strengths. um, and you know things like, yeah, procrastination. If you know you're a procrastinator, that's a weakness. How are you going to deal with that? Plan ahead, make decisions, and have a toolbox or a set idea of how you're going to tackle those weaknesses. And that's all part of becoming more self-aware, and it's all part of growing your confidence for sure.
Yes, and I can tell you right now, I have been the queen of procrastination kingdom. At some point in my life, I'm telling you, I can there are things where you know how there are those things that you really need to do, and next thing you know, you're like, well, I need to wash the dishes. You're like all
Yeah.
over on something totally different when you know that you need to be taking care of those other things. So definitely. Another tip that I have is to surround yourself by other confident people. So if as they say, misery loves company. And so people of like minds, like emotions, like attitudes have a tendency to kind of hang around one another. My grandmother used to say birds of a feather flock together, and I used to say, what in the world is she talking about? But people who are alike tend to hang around one another. So sometimes you have to break away from the crowd. And 9 times out of 10, if you are really, really negative, the people who are around you, whether it be coworkers or friends or even family members, sometimes they can really, really be negative. There's another saying that I like to share with my clients, and I tell them, you know what? Sometimes there are people who you are allowing to occupy the front row of your life, and they really need to be up in the balcony. Or better yet, they need to be outside. So don't let them sit on the front row. So you have to kind of change your position sometimes, and start associating with some more confident people. And if they are not readily available, what I always like to share is that there are plenty of confident, positive, upwardly mobile, forward moving people that I communicate with daily. And I do it through YouTube, through books, through the television programs that I choose to watch, or the music that I choose to
Sure.
listen to. So it might not be a physical person that you can reach out and touch all of the time. Sometimes, you kind of give yourself, create a different environment for yourself by connecting with people in other ways. So that's a great tip.
So, so just for those of you watching us on YouTube, Teresa and I have a couple of helpers that sometimes join us in on these podcasts. And right now, my cat's wandering around in the corner over here, distracting me. And I was watching Teresa's dog in the background a few seconds ago. So
Yes, that's my
we there
Sam
he is.
over
Yeah. So
there.
we apologize for the little animal interruptions, but this is who we are. This is how we work. It's all part of the fun and games of working from home. And anyway, we seem to have got them settled down again now. Those are great ideas about surrounding yourself with confidence, Teresa, and I think they're really valuable things for people to be aware of. Confidence breeds confidence for sure.
Yes,
Um, and another way to boost your confidence um, is your attitude towards failures and your attitudes towards mistakes and missteps. If you take them all very personally, if you take them in and internalize them, and they just become part of that growing negative self-talk, and instead, you know kind of beware that failures are just part of life,
yes,
and they're actually an opportunity to um, sit down and reevaluate and figure out what went wrong, why it went wrong, and how it's not going to go wrong again in the future. It's not a time. A failure doesn't mean get under your blanket and sob yourself to sleep at night. A failure really means um, stand up tall, admit your mistake, figure it out, and figure out how you're going to move forward from that position. Yeah, it's just all about, again, not letting that failure become your inner dialogue and become so focused on that you can't move forward.
mhm.
Anything to add on that, Teresa?
No, I think that you did a great job on that. Yeah, definitely. That your failures are not the sum total of who it is that you
Exactly.
are. And well, I guess I would add on to that, that guess what? All of us fail
Yeah.
at something at some point. All of us do. Even when it looks like, the person is on the stage with all the glitz and glam. Oh my goodness, how many times did they fall, stumble, have a ripped dress or a pair of pantyhose or whatever
Yeah,
along the way. There were so many missteps, so many times they had to hear no, so many times. I mean, it's just countless. So we all do. It looks good in the end. It
yeah,
looks good in the end. So that would be my tip, to just keep going, that the failure is not the sum total. Um,
exactly. Yeah.
Another thing that I would say is really to think about upcoming decisions that you have to make, and kind of plan ahead. And I believe, Rosalind, that you touched on this, a little bit earlier, about really planning ahead. So if you know that you have like a weakness in some area, and and we all have, um, in our circles, we kind of know some of the encounters that we're really going to have, based upon whether it's our work situation, but the people who are around us. It's kind of like, if you want to lose weight, that there is always snacks and stuff, at work, or there's always, that family member, or those people who are around you, who are always encouraging you to, let's go out to eat. And when you get there, all these big meals. But if to increase your confidence, really kind of think ahead to the things that you may have to encounter, and create what I call exit strategies of grace. so an
Beautiful,
so
beautiful.
an exit strategy of grace is, all that is it is a very kind and polite way to bow out of doing something that you really don't need to do, or that you've decided that you're not going to do for a while, without either making you look bad or hurting the other person's feelings.
Yeah, exactly.
So it
Yeah.
is an exit strategy of grace. But to plan ahead. Now, for this to work, you do have to plan ahead. So you just kind of, write it down. It's kind of like, okay, so I'm going to give you an example. If you have, say that you have this plan on, maybe a financial plan, and that you have decided that, hey, I'm going to cut back. I'm not going to go out to eat, with the people at work as much. I really need to cut back. So you're at work, and someone comes up and they're like, hey, Rosalind, we're going out to celebrate Teresa's birthday today, and we're going to go to XYZ restaurant. Why don't you come and go with us? Well, of course you want to go, right? But really, that if you go to that restaurant, you're not going to get out of there. It's a very nice restaurant. You probably, even for lunch, you're going to spend $40 or more. And that is not something that you really need to do. So, you know what? Guess what? My exit strategy might be, hey, you know what? I would really love to. And oh my goodness, Teresa, happy birthday. But today for lunch, I actually had an appointment that I was going to run to. And so I won't be able to go this time, but definitely happy birthday. Enjoy your day. And please invite me the next time. Right.
Yeah.
So that wasn't that good.
Yeah, that was good. That was good. Yeah, and I would add to this part is you you are probably aware of people in your life that kind of suck your confidence out of you. And so using this exit strategy idea that Teresa has, you should prepare for that. When you know you're going to be out in a group of people and there's one person in that group that sucks the confidence right out of you, you need to plan for that. You need to
Hmm.
plan a graceful exit strategy if you get stuck sitting beside them at the table, or whatever.
Go to the
Because
bathroom.
yeah,
That
yeah, yeah,
is- Look,
yeah.
go to
Don't
the
let them,
bathroom.
that's right. Don't let them suck your confidence, and
Yes.
go into these situations that you think somehow your confidence is going to take a hit. Go in with a plan for sure.
Yes, and I'm not talking about go to the bathroom to like hide, right? I'm
Yeah,
talking about go to the bathroom, and hopefully people are going to kind of scoot in and shift a little bit, so that when you come back, maybe you're not sitting next to that person, or if your thought process, you weren't really prepared, or you feel yourself slipping, I know that when I go in that bathroom stall, I am the only person that is in there, and it really helps me to like self correct, or
That's
course
right.
correct, get my thoughts together, and I come out. Or even if I have not planned my exit strategy, and by some chance someone approaches me with something that I really wasn't prepared for, I will politely excuse myself and say, you know what? That's a great question. I was on my way to the bathroom, or I have to take this call. Let me take this and then I'll come back to you. And that gives me an opportunity. Or if you're on the phone with someone who is just sucking you dry, right? You know what? Hey, someone is at my door. I mean, that is just a polite way. Someone is at my door, my other line is ringing. Let me take this call. Or I have to look, I have a meeting coming up in 30 minutes. Let me, get off so that I can get prepared for that. Those types of things. So, yes, plan ahead as much as you can, but then plan for those things that are going to pop up that you weren't expecting.
That's
How are you going to exit that?
Yeah, yeah. The
Mhm.
power of the pause there for sure, because it allows you
Absolutely.
to recollect,
Mhm.
reconnect to your inner core
I
value.
like that. I'm still in that.
Yeah,
The power of the pause.
the power of the pause. Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
So, and one of the things, some of the things you can do if you are taking advantage of that power of the pause, to bring your confidence back up and to reconnect to that inner strength that you have. You can try things like power poses. And I don't know if people are familiar with this idea or not. I actually first saw it on Grey's Anatomy. And
Really?
yeah, yeah. And so the surgeon was heading in, and it was a really difficult surgery that she was heading in to do. And she was questioning whether she should be doing it. It's revolutionary, as it always is on Grey's Anatomy, right? Everything's always revolutionary. And so she stood with her arms on her hips in the Superman pose. And that's the first I heard of it, but I've actually done some research into it, and it is true. It really does make you feel powerful and
Oh,
strong
wow.
and confident. And they've done research into this, how it really does change your mindset to one of a more confident mindset. One of the things I read about this in a book years and years and years ago, by a book by Susan Jeffers called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. And
Mhm.
this is a little thing you can practice with people around you. So stand with your arms perpendicular to the floor, straight out like an airplane,
Mhm.
and think, I'm weak. I can't do this. All those negative little voices in your head, let them run wild for a little while, and have somebody try and push your arms down. And you'll see that your
Mhm.
arms go down pretty easily. Then put your arms back up, and this time think powerful thoughts like, I am powerful. I can do this. I can handle this. I'm strong. I know what I'm doing. And have them try and push your arms down. And you will see that it's much harder for those arms to go down to the floor being pushed by somebody else. And that's the power of the pause and the power of the mind. To Yeah. So it's really powerful stuff out there. And it may sound silly. It may sound unrealistic, but there's real research into these types of things, and affirmations are all part of it, right?
Mhm. Yes. You know what? I have actually seen that with the arms up.
Yeah.
And I remember going to a conference um, about millionaires, and they did this activity where we were supposed to break an arrow with our neck.
Oh.
And I remember, I remember looking like, oh my God, we're gonna die. They actually had paramedics there, and I can remember, people who were fainting at just the thought of
Oh, wow.
doing it,
Yeah.
But when it was over with, I'm telling you, I broke that arrow. It was like, they
Yeah.
had us so pumped up, but
Yeah.
you literally like walked into this arrow and you broke the arrow. And it was like, whoa. So, yeah, very empowering. So, you're right, your mind,
Yeah.
once you get that mindset. And, the last thing I would just like to throw in is one way to boost your confidence is to not hesitate, to just jump. Just take the leap. If don't think to yourself, I can't do it. What if it doesn't work? What are people going to think? What are they going to say? All of these things, just take the leap. I am certainly a person, I say that I will jump and then ask, where is my parachute, as I'm on the way down. I don't even grab the parachute, I just jump. But take the leap, because even when you don't really know or you are unsure, I would probably say, unfortunately, but fortunately, it comes with taking the step. It's like once you take one step, then your next step is revealed. And then your next step is revealed. It's kind of just like us with doing the podcast. I mean, we didn't start out when we met one another saying, "Hey, we want to do a podcast," but we were having such powerful conversations. And then it was like, okay, well, how are we going to do this podcast? And we are constantly learning, as we go along. And it's just a powerful experience.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, this that's a really valuable, tool when you're at work or in business, but it's also useful at home. So, if you've never baked a pie before, just do it. And it
Hmm.
may not turn out, the crust may turn out tough or whatever, but I bet you the inside is lovely.
Yes.
So it's just all about, you know, pushing that envelope a little bit to whatever's scaring you, whatever's holding you back, and just going for it,
Yeah.
with an open, positive, optimistic mindset, right? That
Yes,
it
nothing wrong with trying
Yeah,
something new. I can remember one
exactly.
summer, before my husband and I were dating at the time, and my husband grew up in a family where all the women cook from scratch,
Mm,
and I didn't know anything about what was going on. They even make cakes from scratch, and I remember I spent an entire summer learning how to bake from scratch. And I didn't know the difference between baking soda and baking powder. So I had those Lucille ball cakes, the ones where it gets so big, it pushed the oven door up. And I went through all of that. Or the flour couldn't contain all that flour in the bowl, flour flying all over the place. I remember my mom saying, if you crack one more egg in this house, because I mean, a cake from scratch, usually requires half dozen to a dozen eggs. So it was, but you know what? Now, today, I wouldn't even consider cooking a cake from a box.
mm,
That would probably be harder for me than cooking the cake,
yeah,
baking that cake from scratch. So, just try it.
yeah. And every step you took along the way built your confidence, right?
Yes, it
Because
did.
you
It did,
you
until
you
I
had a
finally
failure,
had
but
that cake that
yeah,
I was going to
exactly.
give to him to eat.
Yeah, yeah. And every little misstep you took was, okay, what I do wrong? Oh, okay, I put in, 2 cups of flour instead of, you know, three,
Exactly.
or whatever. Yeah. So every step, every single step you take, whether you know what the outcome is going to be or not, builds your confidence for sure.
Yes,
For
it
sure.
does.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
does.
Yeah. So
Well, so Miss Rosalind, let me ask you, what is your relentless confidence superpower?
yeah, I think it's that taking the step with an optimistic mind, with an optimistic attitude, um, and just knowing that deep inside you, you know what you're capable of, and you know what's important to you, and you can't fail. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. So, our takeaway, because we want to make sure we always leave you with a takeaway from our show. So, we have been talking about how to increase your confidence in life and win. So, our takeaway today is number one, just pay attention to what it is that you are saying to yourself, your self talk, and then take one step at a time. Your confidence will definitely follow you. So, you can continue to follow us. We thank you for being here. If you want to follow us, please do on IG. You can follow me, Teresa, at I am Teresa C. So that's I am Teresa underscore C. And you can follow Rosalind on IG at Triskelion underscore transitions. And you can email us at relentlesstransitions@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you, and we look forward to you joining us again for our next episode of Relentless Transitions.
Thanks for listening, everyone.